I keep seeing a lot of women in fitness referring to cycle syncing out their workouts according to their menstrual cycle. I've always wanted to optimize my training in order to get the maximum strength gains and fitness gains that I can. This is not a science lesson, by the way, so I'll just pop an image up if you want to familiarize yourself with the menstrual cycle. It's just good general knowledge to have. And I'll pop up a few arrows on the image to display when we are allegedly supposed to feel at our strongest and at our weakest. Something was a little fishy. Something's been a little fishy. I know I'm only an N of 1, but I've been tracking my workouts according to where I am in my cycle for the past 4 years. And in all honesty, I have seen no correlation to where I am in my cycle with regards to how strong I feel. I've broken PRs and PBs when I've been told that I should feel weaker and more tired during the luteal phase. And I have felt really weak and not bothered to train during times I should be at my strongest. And what I'm saying with this is that we need to regard the information with a wider lens. There are many reasons you can feel fatigued during a workout. You may not have slept correctly the night before. You may have felt stressed over something to do with work or other issues outside of your training. Maybe you started your workout too soon after eating and felt heavier and therefore more lethargic. Or maybe the opposite, you've been fasting for too long and need some carbohydrate to fuel your workout. There are many variables, and with anything in science, when there are a lot of variables during an experiment, it deems the results less accurate because there are many more reasons as to why you got the outcome that you did. I keep seeing women in fitness referring to this, and I feel alienated as after 4 years of recording my cycles with regards to when I work out, apart from day 1 of period where I get a few cramps like a lot of women, I can see no difference in my fitness performance or strength according to my menstrual cycle. Now, I'm aware that I'm an N of 1 and I may be in the minority, but I think it should be addressed. I sometimes feel that because the science tells me that I should be weaker, I haven't seen many papers that say hard, this time in your cycle you will be weaker. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but if I am, please feel free to comment any scientific paper that backs this. Here are a few screenshots of papers that I looked into. As you can see with this one, the abstract concludes, we suggest that variations in female hormones induced by the menstrual cycle phases do not significantly contribute to muscle hypertrophy and strength gains during the 12 weeks of resistance training. In another paper, it concludes that although it understood that the female subjects may feel more negative emotions and higher perceived exercise exertion during their luteal phase, they do in fact have the same strength and physiological responses between the menstrual cycle phases. Just because I have cited these studies where the science tells us that there are no strength differences between the cycle, it doesn't take away the personal experiences of women who truly believe that there are differences perhaps in their individual cycles. The reason I'm making this video is because of the one-size-fits-all motive that I've seen with this way of training. That's simply not true. If we look more closely at some of the studies, they also conclude that the women in the studies mentally felt that they were weaker, but when their physical strength was measured in the study, that there was no differences. There could be sometimes a disparity between what we feel physically and what we feel mentally. And that's again completely acceptable, but I personally don't want to have these limiting beliefs that I feel weaker, because it actually is synonymous a lot to the data on sleep trackers. I have a Fitbit, I personally never check my sleep stats on it. Reason being is I suffer from lots of things of insomnia, disrupted sleep, but there are a few occasions where I get really good sleep, and I'm quite an anxious sleeper. I have sleep anxiety. If I was to check my sleep tracker every morning, say I woke up one morning and I felt like really rested, I had a really good deep sleep, and then I checked my sleep tracker and it told me, actually, the data's saying that you haven't really slept that well. I would trust the data more than I trust myself. And when you tell yourself you haven't slept very well, your body reacts as if you haven't slept as well. There are various studies now that conclude that what we tell ourselves can really affect how we are. You can actually have a bad night's sleep, but tell yourself that, okay, I only slept 4 hours, but it was really deep and it was really good. And the next day, you will act as if you've had that really deep, good sleep. We are a product of what we tell ourselves. We are as strong-willed as what we tell ourselves. Another study shows that the way we talk to ourselves really impacts how we perform. We can make ourselves physically stronger and perform better if we talk to ourselves in a positive manner. The way we encourage ourselves doesn't even have to be through talking like, you got this. You know, if you're not a talker, it could be like a punch in the air or something, or like a grunt or a shout before you go and do your workout. Whatever works for you, it can really help with maximizing your fitness gains. And so that's why I'm so passionate with not allowing this to be a limiting belief of mine. Sure, if you feel weak one day or fatigued or lethargic or feel like you need a rest day, take it, listen to your body. You know better than anybody else when you can push yourself, when you feel that, I'm just being a bit lazy, as opposed to when you could push yourself but it's going to damage or injure you because you genuinely feel like you need a rest day. You know best. Don't let anybody else dictate this to you and impose limiting beliefs in you. When I hear all of these things, I sometimes wonder what female athletes may think, you know, when they have to compete in specific events on a specific date, like the Olympics. Women will be at different points in their cycle on the day that they're competing. And if where we are in our cycle truly affects our performance, surely this should be considered in female sports competitions. You know, they're so hard on doping and drugs and all that stuff. Surely if it's such a big thing where we are in our cycle, they'd even have to do competitions where women doing a relay race or swimming or whatever have to do the race at a particular day on their cycle to make it completely fair. It conjures questions, and when you think of who wins or gets second or third place, it would be interesting to run an experiment to see where they are in their cycle, if the winner just happens to be at that point in their cycle. I wonder if there's any studies showing the winners of female sports and to see if they were all in the optimum part of their cycle and if there's any correlation. I do a lot of runs that are marathon length and endurance training, typically to harden this part of my brain.
New research has come to light to suggest that the anterior cingulate cortex part of the brain is bigger in individuals who do hard things and push themselves.
I want to tell myself that I can do hard things, and the more hard things I achieve, the more confidence it instigates in me and makes me believe that I do have the capacity to do these things, and ultimately makes me happier and gives me a meaning. This trend, as it were, is quite problematic because it poses limiting beliefs on the individual.
We're all different, and a lot of women don't have a cycle that is exactly 28 days. Their follicular phase or their luteal phase may be more than just the commonly average 14 days. Therefore, there's another problem when it comes to syncing your workouts to your menstrual cycle.
It doesn't take into account the plethora of conditions that 1 in 10 women will notice with an irregular cycle. A lot of these conclusions that are drawn by syncing your workouts to your cycle are based on women that have a naturally 28-day cycle. And the truth is, like, if you speak to any woman in your life, I doubt that even if she has a natural cycle, that every month is 28. This can vary. A healthy range can be anything between 21 and 35 days, I've been told. And a lot of us have cycles that are even shorter or longer than that during different periods of time in our life. You have so many women that have undiagnosed PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, which is where you have womb tissue growing in other areas of the body where it's not supposed to. Women with these conditions would probably also listen to the hype of this way of working out and finding out that it's not a way that they can work out because they can't sync their cycle because it's different every month. People peddling this cycle syncing probably had good intentions and wanted to share their findings so that other people could train optimally. And perhaps it is true that some people do see a correlation with the strength and recovery of their workouts, but I personally don't, and I've not seen many people speak publicly about the fact that cycle syncing is something that does not refer to them. There are simply not enough scientific papers at the moment and studies done on women to prove or disprove this hypothesis. So I would say there's not one size fits all. You know your body best. Train in a way that makes you happy, and always take videos like this even with a pinch of salt. I always share what works for me personally, and that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, but if I can help someone sharing my own journey or my own thoughts in something that I have a major passion in, then I'll do that. Thank you for watching. Shakira, Shakira.